This is Pete Moore on Halo Talks NYC. I have the pleasure of having a trusted advisor, old friend, and legend in the Halo sector coming in from North Carolina who needs no introduction, but we'll give him one. Sal Pellegrino, welcome to the show.
Hey, Peter, thank you so much. I am so excited to be here, and I appreciate everything that you're doing for our industry at Integrity Square as well as the Halo Academy. So I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
Great. So the three people that don't know your background or have never heard of Sal Pellegrino, why don't we do the necessary preamble on your bio, and then we'll kick off with a hit list of questions I have here for you.
Cool. Perfect. Hey, I've been in this industry since 1979 as a club owner. And then in 1984, 85, I started selling commercial fitness equipment. And I think that experience that I had as a club owner really helped me succeed 35 plus years as an advisor in the commercial fitness space. I think the best thing that I've learned over the years is you have to put yourself in the position of the customer, and that has served me well. I treat my customers like I'm a partner of theirs, and I care about their interests. So I think that's really, really helped me over time. Club owner, good advisor. It comes up every day in every situation, and I think that's helped me tremendously over the years, Peter.
Got it. So over the years, pre-pandemic, when I would go to a club chain and visit for some advisory purpose, they usually would say, "Oh, Sal Pellegrino was here last week." So I felt like kind of Hansel and Gretel following, you around. Obviously, you're a guy who is as social as they come and also want to be there in person, and use every excuse to be on the road in a good way. So, talk about your re-entry into going and meeting people in person as a road warrior, and what kind of receptivity you received, and how excited you are to kind of get back to normal.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. You know what? I always, believe that you got to be hands-on and you got to see what's happening in the field. You can read about worldwide trends every year, the fitness trends come out, but you also need to have boots on the ground, and you need to see what the heck the customers are doing, what their competitors are doing, and what's happening in the marketplace. And I think that's really, really critical. Over the last, 12 to 14 months, that came to a grinding halt. And honestly, Pete, I just came back from my first 6-day road trip from Northern Virginia, DC, up to New York City. And it felt fantastic to be back with my clients.
So what are some of the things that you believe benefited bricks and mortar as everyone had time to stop and think about their business, whether that's from a staffing standpoint, potentially some of the operational changes that are made, such as, do I need to give somebody a key card anymore and actually physically hand it to someone at the front desk versus using mobile and technology? Maybe the understanding of clubs to say, hey, I actually am the authority in my area. I should also be the authority on some component of digital or some component of connectivity with my members, whether it's fitness, nutrition, mental health. What are some of your key takeaways that you feel have benefited us as we've come out of the pandemic here?
Well, I think that the first thing that happened when the pandemic first started, I think everyone adapted to technology amazingly quickly. That adaptation to virtual, to communicating with their members in a better way, to all of a sudden becoming a Zoom specialist, right? I mean, that's what I did. I must have done 6 or 7 webinars every week. And member owners were on those as well. And that kind of led me to my little weekly summaries that I did, Pete. So I think that adaptation to technology is the first thing. I think the second thing is, I think people have a much better understanding of the customer, all right? Because now they're not only competing with the club down the street, they're competing with home fitness. They're competing with people buying equipment back in their homes. They're competing with the Peloton, the Echelons, the mirrors. So, you really got to be smart in terms of how to really tackle that information with your customer. But I think the deep knowledge of the customer and that communication and being transparent, those are the things. And let me back up. Transparent not only for the members, but also for the staff. I mean, those are some things that I saw. And the other thing that I noticed when I went back on the road is the people were working harder than they've ever worked before. The owners that have survived this, it almost brought me back to 1990s when our industry was really on that heavy growth curve through that 90s, when the owners and managers, they did everything. And that's what I saw my customers doing again. I mean, they're cleaning, they're doing this, they're moving stuff outdoors for outdoor fitness. I thought that was really, really interesting. And then really looking at what programs are profitable or not. I think we did things, and even though they lost money, so I think that evaluating, profit centers, make sure that there's a return on investment. I had a number of discussions about that, which I thought was pretty interesting.
So just sticking on the equipment side and the group exercise programming, since you're on the front lines here and almost like the advanced team, if you will, what are you seeing as some of the trends that are going to emerge over the next 6 to 12 months inside the clubs?
Okay, cool. So inside, I'll give an example. I have 9 projects that I'm working on right now where I'm doing floor plans for them, doing 2D, and then we go to 3D and we do walkthroughs for them. Every one of those, except for one, has an outdoor fitness component. So I thought that the states that shut down, i.e. California, just comes to mind immediately, where they were shut down indoors, so they had to morph and go outside. So that has become very interesting to me. High intensity training, you can't do big groups. So this focus on small group training and adapting to that in the group exercise space, people doing 6 to 8 people in the typical group X class that would have 30 to 40 people. So I saw that. Virtual training and that omni-channel, offering to supplement brick and mortar. Hey, everyone adjusted and they did it. Whether they did it good or not, they did it in the short term. And now they're looking at it saying, I got to find a better platform because I know this is here to stay. And there's people that are making money on it now too. So it's an additional revenue stream. The other thing, Pete, that I saw is, personal training really took a hit. Everyone that I met with, everyone seems to be that 20 to 40% of where they were pre-pandemic. And then the other side of it is the instructors are not coming back. They're gone. So they've transitioned or pivoted and done their own things virtually, and getting them back is tough. And I don't know if it's the stimulus issue where people are making more money not working, but I had a number of discussions with owners about that. But I think those are the top things that I've noticed. Now that we're starting to resurface or reopen.
Yeah. Do you feel that's great intel? Do you feel that clubs have gotten any more confidence in increasing the price of the services they provide, or do you feel like we've kind of stepped back into zero down and this is what the monthly was before, regardless of the fact that my costs have increased? I'm not comfortable taking that price increase risk.
That's a great question, Pete, and good observation. And, I got to be honest, most of the customers that I've talked with, they're raising their price, anything from $3 a month to $5 a month.
Good.
I mean, I had one customer that was at they were at $91. They've morphed up to over $100 now, monthly dues in a major city in the Northeast. I was so happy to hear that. I was so proud of them. And a number of my franchise groups, Golds and Worlds and JCCs, the Golds and Worlds, they're not afraid to raise their prices because of that. Hey, one guy said it best. He goes, I'm at 50% of where I was in my peak. And now opening, I have cleaning expenses. I've invested all this money in these air filtration systems. And, I can't be afraid to to increase the value of my offering and raise my prices. So I'm really happy to hear that, because that race to the bottom doesn't serve anyone well at all.
Yeah, especially if you're delivering incremental services. I back in the day had groups say, "Oh, I'm going to go deploy the Planet Fitness model." Well, if you're going to deploy their pricing model, you better also deploy their cost model, or else you're not going to make any money. You better make sure you got a lot of parking spots. One of the things that I believe is going to happen over the next couple of years, as you get your Amazon or your news feeds or what have you, people aren't going to be traveling internationally as much, just given the COVID outbreaks around the world. So I do feel like there is going to be this staycation, if you will, that's going to at least be a couple of years worth. And I believe that the bigger box clubs and the YMCAs and the JCCs are going to benefit from people saying, "Hey, look, we're not going on this ski trip, or we're not going on this safari, or touring around Southeast Asia for the next couple of years." And I feel like they're going to default back to the clubs and a place that's safe and convenient. What are your thoughts on some of the big boxes that you work with, and YMCAs and the JCCs, trying to market themselves to families as that real third place versus, looking at themselves just as, "I'm a community center, whatever you want to do here, you can do here," but maybe be a little more proactive about, "This is why you should come here. This is what I can serve for your family," and have the use of the square footage to actually be an asset instead of liability.
I think that's awesome. I think what comes to mind, Pete, is facilities now have to change the narrative. We're not a health club anymore. It's not about, butts and abs and chest and back. It's about wellness. It's about mental health. It's about all these things. So the clubs have to morph into that, be that wellness hub in their community. I really love that term. And the other thing is, I think that I like that comment that you just mentioned about, members, that staycation. I think people are starved for socialization and miss their friends. That was the best part of my road trip last week. It was just good to see my fitness friends. And, we talked, we had vaccines. I had both of my vaccines and they did too. I couldn't help but shake hands and hug. I haven't done it in 14 months, so it felt really great. But I think that that wellness hub concept and being that's fill that socialization. The JCCs have done it very, very well. That's one of my accounts that I handle. I do national accounts for Precor. So I only have 7 customers that I deal with, 7 large groups. And so again, watching how each of these segments or categories have adapted to this has been very, very interesting. Everyone has raised their prices. Everyone has adjusted, pivoted to technology adherence. Everyone is looking at things that are profitable and things that are not profitable. They're putting those aside and not going to do that. So I think that clubs be in that role more than just, hey, work out there 2 or 3 days a week or catch a good exercise class. I think it's going to be more of that fabric, because it's trusted, it's controlled. It's not like going to Lowe's or Home Depot, right? You got a safe environment. It's a member organization. You have contact tracing in play. You got amazing cleanliness standards. I felt perfectly safe in every club, and I had a chance to work out in 3 different intervals too. And our industry has done a really good job at responding to this.
Yeah. Without going too deep into the Peloton Precor, transaction, I feel like that was the tipping point for clubs to basically say, "Hey, instead of me thinking that anything digital or anything that's in somebody's house is competitive, it's actually collaborative. And if I could get someone to reach their results, as long as they continue to stay a member, I benefit, because they talk about the physical and the mental change that they have. And if I could give someone a blueprint or a prescription that says, 'Hey, you got a Peloton bike?' That's awesome. Actually, I want you to have a Peloton bike, and I want you to do 2 or 3 classes on Peloton a week. I want you to take these 2 or 3 group exercise classes, and I want you to take this one meditation class, or I want you to come into the workout recovery room. So as you started going around and talking to people in person, do they view the Precor Peloton relationship? Do they fully understand how good it could be for them?
I think it's a little mixed. First of all, I was so stunned at the news back in December when I heard it, and I was so excited for it. I was like, "Holy mackerel, boy! That's the biggest thing to happen in the commercial equipment industry in a long time." And I do believe that the cultures of the two companies will match and blend very, very well. But as for the customer, I have 5 Gold's gyms and World gyms that have the Peloton bikes in their facilities. Okay. They bought them themselves, had nothing to do, and this is going back in the last, 2 years ago. They had it a year and a half ago. And again, it was member driven. Members wanted to have that opportunity. And so I think that's interesting. I was at a club in New York that had 7 of them. Okay. And the members just use their own account to get in, and they do it when they want, where they want it. So, you got to, listen to the customers and help them. So I think it's here to stay. We've all seen Pelotons in hotels, right? I don't know how many brands have put it in over time. I handle the Omni Hotel account, which is great. And they put 2 in every facility. So guess what? It's happening. It's happening in a lot of different categories, not just health clubs. But I do believe that, the attitude of saying, oh my God, whether you use a Peloton, an Echelon, or a Mirror, I'm going to lose the member. That's not the case. It is not the case. I worked for Stairmaster for 14 years. We sold tons of product in the home, and that was just that supplement. So maybe they won't go to the health club to do their cardio. Maybe they'll do that one day a week, but they'll do strength. They'll do that yoga class. They'll do, the stretching situation, or have a one-on-one appointment. So I think it's here to stay, and they just got to make the jump and accept it. Technology is not going away. Connected fitness is not going away. It's going to enhance that experience for the member. My personal opinion.
Yeah, one of the key takeaways that I have from the pandemic, and I have zero data to back this up, it just intuition. I think with all of the people working out from home and actually taking some of these group exercise classes through Zoom, took away a lot of the intimidation of, wow, I could actually do this class. And somebody physically going into a health club and then you saying, hey, why don't you go try this body pump class? Like, okay, not yet. Like, I'm not good with that yet. Or I'm not going to do a Les Mills class. I don't know if I can make it through the class. So I feel like there may be an additional amount of the population that will walk into a health club over the next several months that are completely new to the bricks and mortar, because they've said, you know what, I've done this. It's not intimidating. It's kind of like, test driving a car, right? Or like doing like a 30-day free trial on whatever it is online. So are you seeing any data to support that, or sentiment to support that, or any of your clients? This is kind of like a run-on sentence, Sal. So just stay with me. Take notes. Point is, do you have any evidence to say, hey, wow, these people are saying that they're signing up new members that have never been part of a health club?
Yeah, it's funny. One thing that was resounding, a message that was my takeaway from last week, is everyone's new member sales have been extraordinarily good. And a tremendous amount of what I referred to, I heard it on a webinar last year, orphan members. They were members of a health club. That club shut down. They need a new spot, or they've never been a member in that community. And I think you're spot on with your observation about people trying, things, virtual exercise experience. And after doing it for a few months, you want to, like anything, you want to advance. It's just like when you start a running or a walking routine. You do a mile, then you do a mile and a quarter, half a mile, and I think having that experience at home will make it less intimidating to go to that commercial facility. And I think, I remember the first time I took a group exercise class. It was a long time ago, But a guy going into a group exercise class back then, that was like, holy mackerel. But so I think that exposure prior to going there will lessen that intimidation factor. So I've not heard of any statistics about it, but that's a great observation, and I will keep my my eye on that one. That's a really valid point you're making.
I think I took one group. This is probably 20 years ago. I took one group exercise class, 45 minutes in a Gold's Gym. I think I was in Delaware for some reason. And then I left the class. I was spent. And then all the women went to the water fountain and went into the class right after that. And I was like, oh wow, this is like the real deal. These people are committed in much better shape than I was.
I remember my first body pump class. There was a gal next to me, right? And she was older than I was, and she kicked my butt she had more weights than I was doing. And I just was spent with I didn't do, 50 repetitions, and it was great. It was a good experience, good humbling experience, but
yeah, no doubt. Cool. So, as you look at the future of the industry and you see the technology changing quickly, you see a lot of the data analytics, some of the lead generation tools. How important do you think it is or beneficial to be part of a large franchisor and have a franchisor-franchisee relationship versus some of the clubs that you've worked with that have great physical facilities, but they just don't have enough resources? It's not their fault. It's just reality.
Yeah, no, I think that's an interesting observation, Pete. This is a tough economy. It's a tough business. I mean, I learned a lot from the Halo Academy. I finally know what a real estate investment trust is. And so many of my customers that the landlords, didn't negotiate with them was because of that situation. So I think that, it's tough out there. Why do it alone? Okay, so your statement about being part of a franchise group or another club organization, I'm seeing people, close up shop because they've, they own the building and they've decided enough's enough. I've been doing it for 30 years. I'm going to cash in my real estate. Great. And then there's guys that have survived and I want to go, but boy, where do I start? And I just think that's a great observation. And let's be realistic. The adjustments and the excitement of what's happening now in the business, I'm more bullish on the industry than I think I was, because anyone that survived this, they're here to stay. Okay. And then all the things that have happened in terms of adaptation to technology, adjustment, all these support businesses that are out there, from lead generation to technology. The other thing that I heard, most of the people that I talked to, 20 to 25% of their memberships were done online. It used to be 4 to 6%. So
right.
Again, that's a pandemic issue. So I think that makes sense, and it's worth investigating. It really is.
Yeah, I think some of the clubs that I've spoken to in the past about, do I really want to go and become a franchisee of a Planet, a Crunch, a Golds, they come back and they say, I got to pay 5 or 6% of my revenue, right? That's like the first, traditional economic response. And then you say, okay, well, how much revenue do you have? You got $2 million of revenue in this location. So you're going to pay 5%. You're going to pay $100,000. You're basically renting a $10 million corporate overhead from a franchisor. Think about it that way. And then you're basically renting a CFO, a CTO, a CMO, somebody who's like tinkering with the digital that you don't have to. You can't buy. You can't have these people on staff, especially in the environment of getting the talent of that level to make change. Let somebody else pay, for the CMO and be on the upswing of data analytics and so on and so forth. So I hope there's a push towards that. And I'm sure from your standpoint, the more consistency you can have and the more growth and the unit economics work, then people are going to build more locations and private equity gets involved and so on and so forth. I'm not sure if that's a question, but feel free to comment or answer.
Yeah, no, I think, if I look at the JCC Association being part of that during this whole pandemic, if you were a standalone JCC and you didn't have that support, you were in trouble. Okay. And, look at Golds, and we all remember Adam Zaitsev, he was he was really out in front of this thing early on, the CEO of Gold's Gym. He did a lot of great things. Stephen Alfano from Retro Fitness, he's done very, very well in terms of picking things up. So I think that it's really important to at least consider being part of something bigger and have that support. When I think of the Gold's Gym Franchise Association, they've all helped each other. They're on webinars, calls, support. So again, it makes a lot of sense. And I like the way you framed it. You're renting a CMO, a CIO, and all that. And certainly worth the consideration and the investment, that's for sure.
Yeah. So in closing here, you want to talk about, if you had a crystal ball here a year from now, where's the industry, where are your clients, what are they going to be thinking about? Do you think maybe there'll be more of a convergence with insurance companies saying, hey, I'll pay your full health club membership. It's way cheaper than me getting you in the hospital and, having one visit, is 5 times what I'm going to pay for your health club membership. Obviously COVID has been resounding counter to obesity, diabetes, and loneliness. Like, we got to solve those 3 things before anything changes on the healthcare, spending barometer.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think because of COVID, a couple of things happen: safety, trust, cleanliness. Those are the 3 things that I think every member is going to have that at the top of mind. People have to have that deep knowledge of the customer, that communication, that transparency. And I think they got to change the narrative from a hard body to wellness. And I think the vocabulary has to change. And we have a number of facilities that have gone down this path. I mean, I have a hospital wellness group in New Jersey they've been down this road for a long time, where they do exercise prescription as a workout. The doctors in their organization are prescribing exercise, and then having dietitians that are on staff. So I think all these things make a tremendous amount of sense. I'm bullish on the industry. If you survive this, you're going to do good things. And I think people are starved for socialization. That wellness hub, people want to get back. And I think you just have to change, adjust, and focus on the trends that are going on now: online training, wearable, body weight training, outdoor fitness, all these things. As long as you incorporate those things, adapt to the change, and offer an amazing experience, a safe experience, I think you're going to do very well. So no, I'm sensing that the second half of this year is very busy. If my pipeline is good, that's a good kind of precursor of what's happening. Right. People are spending money. People are reinvesting. The other thing we didn't talk about is the real estate deals that are out there right now. I mean, sure. I have people getting 6 months free rent, 6 months half rent, $600,000 in tenant improvement dollars. I mean, we never heard of these things, right? But so I think with all the turmoil, there is going to be some great opportunity for those who are a little gutsy to do that.
Well, we had the pleasure of having you and Sarah on our 2 Halo Academy events. So thanks again for joining and spreading the gospel there. We want to try and make sure we educate as many people as possible, and that turns into a higher probability. Nice. I like the Halo pledge there. Ganlin, take a screenshot of that for us. But just educating people on the metrics, on the trends, so on and so forth, is really going to increase the probability that people can get financing, and if they have the guts and the decision-making, parameters, if you will, to add more locations and affect more people. So in closing here, you've got any good quotes that you live by, or anything you want to share with us as a parting Salism of wisdom before your next Sunday YouTube video?
Oh, you're funny. But here, these are 2 things that came out of the last 12 months for me. The sharing of our collective wisdom. Owners were willing to help other owners. In the past, they were always afraid to share their secret sauce. So I think that was the first thing that my big takeaway. And then another one, I like this. be lean, be clean, and be seen. Don't hide in the office if you're leadership, or if you're an owner, or if you're a decision maker in a commercial facility. Don't be hiding. You got to be with your customers. Your staff has to see you, and you got to be very visible, and you got to be very hands-on, and you got to really focus on that incredible experience for the member. And I have to be, I think I'm working harder now than I've ever done. And it's, again, I know the situation that my clients are in. I want to do everything I can to help them improve their situation and their survivability. So
that's great. Well, we appreciate everything you've done for the industry. We cherish our friendship with you as well. And as a plug to any health club operators, or fitness studio operators, or franchisors out there, if you'd like to see someone who's lean and mean and wants to be seen, have Sal come to your club. I'm sure he's available to get on his Road Warrior World Tour.
Thank you, Peter. You are great. I appreciate you and Dave. Thank you, sir. Take care.
All right, guy. Have a good week.
Yep.
Take care. I want to thank my friends at Burn, BRRRN, for sponsoring this podcast. They are the innovative company behind the world-renowned Burn board. Many of you don't know, I was one of the top roller hockey players in all of Nassau County back in 1988 to 1990. If I had a Burn board, watch out, I would probably be an NHL legend. Got a 7-day free trial on their on-demand library of hundreds of workouts, $30 off the purchase. Check it out at shop.theburn.com. We'll have it in the show notes. Use the checkout code HALO and go burn it on the Burn board. Ice hockey in your living room, at-home fitness, low cost, low tech, low impact. Go Halo, burn it up.